The Hisense U6K is meant to mark a big step for the brand. In some countries, this specific TV is officially one of the cheapest mini LED TVs you can get your hands on. The mini LED variant only costs $749. Usually you would have to spend at least $1,000 to enjoy mini LED technology. Of course, while this is exciting for some regions, in South Africa, the Hisense U6K is not a mini LED TV. Instead, we got the full array LED model. Keep in mind that other regions outside of South Africa also get the same non-mini LED TV. So if you're in one of those countries, this is the model you'll get. It is quite easy to tell whether or not you have the mini LED model. First off, if your Hisense U6K runs VIDAA, it is the LED model. Secondly, the design of the TV is a bit different too. For example, the mini LED model includes two leg stands quite close to one another, sort of in the middle of the TV. The LED model has them closer to the ends of the TV, and they are quite low to the stand. Lastly, the mini LED U6K features 4 HDMI ports, whereas the LED model only has 3. I need to stress that even though I'm quite bleak about the Hisense U6K dropping mini LED support in my country, after using the LED model I was still quite impressed by it. Sure, it would have been quite a landmark for the company to have the mini LED tech on the market at such a great price range, but sadly that didn't happen. Maybe next year. The Hisense U6K comes in 3 sizes. There's a 55-inch, 65-inch and 75-inch model. They retail for 12,999 Rand, 16,999 Rand and 24,999 Rand respectively. On paper, the Hisense U6K is pretty much the same as last year's U6H. I did review that TV, so be sure to check out that video. I'll leave a link down below. The Hisense U6H is also a full array LED TV. It features the same speakers, the same quantum dot color tech, and even the same peak brightness. However, there are a few slight differences between the U6K and the U6H. For example, Hisense says the new model features an MTK 9602 chip. This is better than the SoC found in last year's U6H, the Nova 72671D chip. The U6K now also comes with Dolby Vision game support, whereas the U6H, it was one of the very few missing features on last year's TV. Hisense also says the onboard storage on the U6K has been downgraded from 2GB to 1.5GB. This isn't a big deal given how tiny the apps are on the platform. The operating system is also VIDAA version U6, which I found hard to tell apart from the U5 OS on last year's TV. Apart from that, the Hisense U6K is pretty much the same thing, and if anything, quite difficult to tell apart. From the design point of view, the legs are no longer raised up and instead are flat square-like stands. The display has the same bezel thickness too. Even the back of the panel features a similar finish, port layout and design. The TV stands 7cm off the stand and the leg width is 92cm apart. Important to keep in mind if you're using a soundbar. There's also a power button underneath the Hisense logo in the middle of the display. Overall, the Hisense U6K is quite a feature-packed TV. It includes most of the apps you'll use such as Netflix, DSTV, YouTube and Showmax. The remote also includes easy access buttons to these apps. There's still no Disney+. It has been over a year since Hisense claimed to have been working on the local app, but it's nowhere to be found yet. Hopefully, I'll review a Hisense TV with the Disney+ app icon on the remote soon. Hisense has included a few new features on this TV which I thought were quite impressive. Airplay 2, for example, fully integrates Apple services such as HomeKit and Airplay into the TV. There's also a Game Mode Plus which includes VRR and ALLM. It is nice to see a TV at this price point to offer VRR even if it is only at 60Hz. Then there's also Dolby Vision Gaming, which the U6H didn't include either. It is a welcome addition to the U6K. Out of the box, the Hisense U6K definitely needs to be calibrated. The colors are a little bit too cool for my liking, so I immediately adjusted settings to make the picture look better. Different people have different takes on calibration, but these are the settings I used. From a technical point of view, the Hisense U6K is of course a 4K TV. It has an IPS panel and supports local dimming. It has 32 dimming zones across the panel. There are 4 rows of 8 zones each. Dimming is what it is on this TV. It is an LED with an IPS panel, so there's definitely noticeable bloom around bright objects under certain conditions, especially in dark rooms. You can see this on the edges of the display due to the backlight bleed. The HDR brightness goes a long way to help reduce the blooming, as bright objects are so bright they stick out enough to overshadow the blooming. With that being said, in very dark scenes, it is hard to ignore the bloom around objects such as stars and subtitles when using the TV in a dark room. However, I was impressed by the dimming algorithms at times on this U6K. One of my tests, which uses a tiny white square, was able to dim the display completely and still keep the square visible without any bloom. The square was much darker than it should have been, but the display didn't darken it away at least. I have tested TVs in the past where the square would disappear completely. In a brightly lit room, this TV's bloom isn't so bad at all. The LED backlight does a decent job of getting bright, but it isn't remarkably bright by any means. I only measured 392 nits in 100% window using HDR and 309 nits in 100% window in SDR. This is quite close to Hisense's promised 400 nits of brightness. HDR content was especially good. Watching Netflix kick Dolby Vision into gear and the content looked decent. Of course, Dolby Vision relies on a very bright TV being able to dim and brighten the backlight as you watch content. The HDR tone mapping and the peak brightness on this mode rely on a TV being able to get bright enough to produce the darks and the brights. Given the U6K's somewhat dim backlight, you're not really experiencing Dolby Vision as you should be. I can't help but feel that many TVs on the market are very quick to slap Dolby Vision and Atmos onto a product list, but essentially, with the backlight of only 400 nits, it isn't achieving what the mode is trying to do in the first place. But that aside, the Hisense U6K did manage to produce a somewhat bright and vivid image in all my test results. When it comes to the viewing angles, the Hisense U6K holds up quite well. The IPS panel helps deliver some solid viewing angles even from the sides of the TV. Of course, there is a sweet spot like most TVs on the market, but if you're viewing the TV slightly past the 65-degree angle, you'll still get a clear view of what's happening on the panel. The only issue you'll face from the side of the TV is the blooming. It is a lot more pronounced when viewing the TV from the side angle than looking at the display straight on. Apart from that, the colors remain vivid and the picture quality is clear. The panel glass is quite reflective. It is one of the more reflective panels I've seen in a while. You'll definitely want to place it away from a window or have curtains that black out the light. Else it's going to be quite a challenge to see what's happening on the display during the day. When it comes to gaming, the Hisense U6K does tick all the boxes except for 4K 120Hz support. You can get away with 120Hz gaming by enabling 1080p on supported consoles. The Xbox Series X, for example, can benefit from the versatility. 1080p 120Hz also works with Dolby Vision gaming, so that's a plus too. The U6K's VRR support is also a welcome addition to this TV. It doesn't support AMD FreeSync or Nvidia G-Sync, but the VRR should keep those frames stable when you need them. I have noticed a few recent titles such as Final Fantasy 16 and Star Wars Jedi Survivor suffer from unstable frame rates. VRR seems like it's more important than ever these days. I was impressed at how low the input lag was on the Hisense U6K when gaming too. I measured only 4.1 milliseconds in game mode. All of this means that if you're looking for a generally decent TV without 4K or 120Hz support for gaming, this U6K might just be it. It has ALLM 120Hz support in a way, VRR, HDR and Dolby Vision gaming. It really does tick all those boxes. When it comes to the sound, the Hisense U6K includes two 10-watt speakers and they are just okay. They don't produce Dolby Atmos by any stretch of the imagination and are just enough for general viewing. But you'll definitely want to upgrade to a soundbar or home theater system here. The sound from these speakers is generally just flat and lacks bass and detail. Lastly, the Video OS is also fine. We still don't have Disney Plus if that's a deal breaker for you. I do enjoy how responsive the OS is on the TV. It is incredibly fast and apps remain open while switching inputs and to other apps. Hisense says this is Vida version U6, but there's really no way to tell the difference between U5 and U6. Of course, if you don't like Vida, you can always plug a Google TV device into the TV. Now, I won't deny that Hisense has a few challenges to overcome with the U6K. Firstly, it is almost identical to last year's U6H TV. Secondly, this isn't the fancy mini LED TV we all hoped for. So essentially, what Hisense has put on the market needs to offer enough improvement to warrant its asking price. Thankfully, the Hisense U6K's price tag is incredibly competitive. 12,999 for a 55-inch and 16,999 for 65-inch is quite a bargain given the feature set on offer here. The TV definitely checks all the boxes, even if some of those checks don't live up to the hype. The fact is, for 12,999, it is going to be difficult to find a TV which does VRR, ARLM, and offers the same panel quality. So those are my thoughts on the Hisense U6K. Be sure to check out the other Hisense videos I have on the channel. I'll link them all down below. I also have a few more coming up in the months ahead, so please do consider liking and subscribing to stay up to date with their content. Also be sure to visit www.glitch.online for more gaming tech news and reviews. Until next time, farewell.